Good morning, my friends. This is the Grimflare. Hope you're all doing very well today, and we are back for a second crack at Abzan Stoneblade in Modern. We had a great run out. We had a great debut. It was my first time ever playing the deck through a competitive league. I did it live on the channel. We went 4-1. It was awesome. But nevertheless, we are making a few changes to the deck. We're going to talk briefly about those. Then we're going to play another live recorded league. But first, few Patreon supporters we have to thank. So we have two brand new Patreon supporters. The first is Rocco Perisic, who is a member of the Unearthed tier, and the second is Cole Stallings, who is a confidant. Hope I got your names correct, my friends, and thank you so much for supporting this content. It does mean a lot to me. And secondly, we have two of the oldest, the OG patrons, to thank, both of whom have upped their level of support. We have Robbie Taylor, first and foremost, who is the literal first day sign up. There were two people who signed up on the very first day I started Patreon, and Robbie was one of them. So thank you so much for that, Robbie, as always, and thank you for upgrading from Tireless to the very highest tier of the Veil. Secondly, we are thanking Ronald Poon, who is similarly one of the original Patreon supporters, and Ronald has been a confidant for a long time, and now he's a member of the Tireless tier. So thank you so much, Ronald, Robbie, Rocco, and Cole, and all patrons, as always. This means a lot to me. Could not do it without you. Link is in the description below if you want to check my Patreon page out. So what are we going to do with the deck that we 4-1 with? Well, despite 4-1ing, despite it feeling pretty good in a lot of ways, I kind of knew going in that my build was on the clunky side. I erred on the side of clunk and consistency and inevitability because I was not exactly sure how the lesser-known quantities would perform. Having played the deck a little bit since then, the thesis that the deck has got a lot of inevitability but a lot of clunk was confirmed. And so with that in mind, we have actually tried to lower the curve just a bit, because we have a lot of turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic progressions result in you do something turn 1 if you have it, then you go turn 2 SFM, then you go turn 3 play a land and pass, just holding up SFM's activation. So I wanted more 1-drops in the deck so we could have a more mana-efficient and powerful and interactive turn 3 if we're leading on turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. So to that end, the final thing is that Lingering Souls was also a big overperformer. So to that end, we have added a 3rd copy of Lingering Souls. We have also added a 4th Inquisition of Kozilek and the 1st copy of Hexdrinker. So Souls being an overperformer, and also in certain circumstances, if Liliana's active on either side of the table, it is a more mana-efficient play than some alternatives. And of course, Hexdrinker and Inquisition both being those types of spells that you can cast on turn 1 or cast on turn 3 alongside a Stoneforge Mystic activation. So that's the idea. We have, of course, had to make some cuts to accommodate these, and Tireless Tracker is gone, so I love Tracker. My first thought was, again, I'm not quite sure how the white cards are going to perform, so let's jam a couple Tracker, and let's also err on the side of caution with our mana base, playing the 24th land. This was how I was initially configured. And Tracker, of course, in a 24 land deck with 8 fetch lands, looking pretty good. However, we have cut both Trackers, and we have actually cut down to 23 lands as well to facilitate the lower curve. So we're trying to be a little more action dense, a little more mana efficient, while still retaining a lot of late game power with Stoneforge Mystic and Lingering Souls and mana sinks like Scavenging Ooze and Hexdrinker. It is worth noting that in terms of raw card advantage, we're kind of on the low side of things. We have the 2-for-1 of SFM. We have 2 copies of Confidant if he sticks, and that's about it in terms of raw card advantage in the main deck. We do have pseudo advantage with things like Lingering Souls, but maybe that will come back to bite us. It remains to be seen. But the land we cut was the lone copy of Nurturing Peatland, so things got a little painful, a little bit too often for me, and white mana is more in demand right now with the rest of the mana base than Greenland was, so we kept the clearing, we cut the peatland, and there are other changes we can make too, for sure. I can always make a few tweaks to the sideboard and all that, but we don't want to change too much, so let's just play a league like this. We don't want to change too much. Whoops. I almost just put us in with the wrong deck. Good thing it lets you drop if you haven't for free without having started a game yet. Let's change off of Blue Rock, which is a deck I just put together. Just kind of haven't really used it yet, but I was just messing around, trying to see what it would look like if we just splashed literal only blue for Snapcaster Mage. Some people have been splashing only red for Ren and 6, and in an otherwise green-black rock deck. I don't find that particularly viable, but it got me thinking, is that viable for just like a white rock deck with Stoneforge? Yeah, probably. But the white cards are also fairly compelling on their own, the other ones you see here. But Blue Rock for Snapcaster could be interesting. But anyway, we're not using that today. We are playing some Stoneblade. We are on the play. And we've got a keeper. It looks like a nice hand to me. With 3 fetches, I think we're pretty free and clear to get a swamp here on turn 1, in case our life total is relevant. And it sure is. We're against Burn right out of the gates. Okay, so they've got a nice 3-lander, Searing Blaze, Swifty, Eidolon, Helix. So, interesting. We're going to find it kind of difficult to play through Eidolon. But what we could do is take Searing Blaze and just plan to win the game with Stoneforge into Batterskull. The only way we don't is if they spend their Helix on Stoneforge instead of playing Eidolon on turn 2. Which maybe they will, but maybe that's kind of good for us as well. And our hand is fairly dirtily without the ability to go Stoneforge, so I'm going to take Searing Blaze. We're going to see how it pans out. My first instinct was definitely to take Eidolon, so right away we've got a very interesting call that's been made, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, we do unfortunately have to fetch and shock. Liliana was a pretty good draw. So yeah, we're really making the opponent choose here. They will Helix. Okay, fair enough. Sword of Fire and Ice. Guess we're just going Liliana here. All right. Inquisition of Kozilek, interesting. It was about to be a very interesting decision as to whether to do anything at all this turn. Maybe see what the opponent does. Maybe see if they're priced into attacking Liliana. But now that we've drawn Inquisition, I suppose we do want to... use it. Or maybe we still don't, because, you know, it could whiff. They have 1 land in hand, but I think the upside is high enough that we are supposed to cast it. And if we do, we are priced into pathing first. And then not getting a board down, so it's all a little bit awkward. I kind of would have preferred to just draw a land, but let's go on the path plan. Let's Inquisition. We get another Eidolon out of their hand. All right, that is well worth it. That is well worth it. So in the pre-Horizons days, our position would actually be pretty reasonable here, all things considered, but of course they've got these canopy lands now, which does give them a lot better chance to just keep hitting the gas pedal before we can really get our feet under us, but we'll see how it goes. Cracking the Canyon. And then passing, huh? Oh, Thoughtseize, jeez. Our draws have not been great. I'm not going to cast Thoughtseize here. Seems very likely to whiff. So the mana efficient thing to do is to cast Fire and Ice. But that only really pays off if we draw exactly Hex Drinker. And even then, not so much. Like, we still can attack with it next turn. Yeah. I guess we're just flashing back a Souls, but it's not very exciting. Yeah, the draw of the second equipment was pretty poor here, not gonna lie. Opponent has pitched the Fiery Islet. That is interesting. Boros Charm to the face. Alright, well, in light of the fact that we have not actually damaged them yet, I don't find our chances particularly good. And we just got turn 5, despite a ton of disruption. So we cast 2 Inquisitions, we ticked Liliana down once and up twice, and we also forced them to point a Lightning Helix at our board. And they still turn 5'd us. So, yeah, that's pretty rough. Pretty rough. Not gonna lie. So, against Burn, Fulminator Mage has historically been a role player. I don't know if that's as true in Abzan as it is in Rock, but we'll consider it. Fatal Push and Brutality are definites, otherwise I can see playing any number of Gideon, Plague Man, Fulminator. But these two for sure. Bobs and Thoughtseizes are for sure gone. And is there anything else that's not particularly viable against Burn? I don't know. So we have at least 3 cards to bring in, so we could, if we wanted to leave things as is, we could consider like playing only Fulminators and not the other stuff, or vice versa, we could play no Fulminator and just play good old Plague Man plus good old Gideon. You know, because we're playing Path to Exile, Fulminator Mage gets a little bit worse. Not a lot worse, because his main role is not to mana screw them all together, but to take them off of a color. But still, maybe we just go without Fulminator. Everything else looks fairly solid to me, so sure. I think we're threat dense enough without him. Alright, not a great start. Got pretty badly dumpstered there game 1. That's alright. That's alright. Okay, it's a one-lander. The one-land's our only pain land. Pretty unlucky, got them all. This is a much better one. We're going to put the sword back in the deck. Pretty easy choice there. So saying Swamp Go pretty clearly telegraphs that we have Fatal Push, but I still believe it to be the correct play here. And they're going to run out the Goblin Guide anyway. Makes sense. Unmulligan us, Guide. You can do it. He did it. Well, it's a pain land, which is not ideal, but still, we will take it for sure. Alrighty, it is... Yep, it's Stoneforge time. We're just going to make them have exactly Searing Blaze for us to get punished for this. Even so, we are on track to hardcast Batterskull, so that could be live anyway. And if they have to point another Lightning Helix at the board, that is actually decent. Or they're just going to play Eidolon, which is even better. Alright, so... we're going to say go. We're just going to plan to, of course, toss in the Batterskull here. We're going to be sad if they have some kind of artifact destruction, and they may well. Otherwise, they might have been priced into killing Stoneforge, but... opponent's got a Swifty, sure. Alright, looking like they've got some way to blow us out here. So should we assign a block first, or would we rather keep our Stoneforge around? It's an interesting question. I guess we're going to keep it around because they won't have prowess every turn, so let's just... Violin. I keep saying Violin. We're gonna Stoneforge in the Batterskull. Yep, smash to smithereens. Pretty rough. So we take a bunch, and the opponent still got the Eidolon on the field. We do have Skoos, but we cannot make it big quite yet. Drawing a trophy. So options here are to play the Skoos, gain a guaranteed life, and then probably lose it to something. Play the Lingering Souls, take the damage, but make their attacks worse. Or pass holding up Assassin's Trophy. And probably Silent Clearing we'd play in that case. I think we're actually going to play Catacombs. Do we hit back with Stoneforge? Their life total could get really low with their Eidolon. I think I'm gonna. Spirits make the Eidolon attack bad enough anyway. To the point where they're probably going to either attack with... like, they're probably not going to attack with Eidolon due to the fact that we can double block it. And if they attack only with Swifty, we'll be pretty happy to jump. Lightning Helix, of course, is pretty annoying, punishes us a lot for attacking with Stoneforge. Now they've got a Skewer going to the board. Okay. Think we're priced into chumping now. Rift Bolt for the OP. Alright, so another land. Yeah, I think we're pretty dead. But we'll at least do this. And say go. Yep, that's the right play, it seems. Yeah, maybe that attack with Stoneforge Mystic was pretty bad. I mean, it did price them into skewering the board, and instead they would have just skewered our face. And I believe we would be losing either way, but opponent cracking all the pain lands. Alright, so we're dead. We're locked out by the Eidolon after taking 2. There's no more Batterskull to find in the deck. We could find Gideon, but that's not it. Okay, well, let's just crack a clearing, I guess, see what we can see. Tarmogoyf, where were you this whole series? Okay, alright, that was pretty rough. Got pretty much pasted by Burn back-to-back. Not sure how that match tends to go on average, but didn't feel great there. Stoneforge Mystic is obviously nice, but in you know, the fact that it kind of 2-for-1 them and forced them to have certain things, it was still good for us, but the rest of the deck just really didn't pull its weight, and we got beat pretty soundly. But we've got a nice hand here in Game 2. Inquisition into Hexdrinker into Liliana is the curve. If we decide it's wise to play out Hexy. Grizzly Salvage and double Hedron Crab. Since we don't have removal, I still think we're taking a crab there, even though that's kind of the redundant piece of the hand. They can have a really good turn 2 if we don't. Tarmogoyf, good draw. I would honestly probably have preferred a Fatal Push, but I doubt Liliana is going to be very good in this matchup. At least we'll get some Edict value out of her next turn. Not after the opponent goes off, though. Prized Amalgam, Bloodghast, Gravecrawler all in the yard off of one Hedron Crab turn. Pretty good. Pretty good. Opponent's just flashing back the Crawlers, getting the Amalgam. It's all a bit rough. And now Liliana Edict does not look very good at all now, does it? Yeah, just spot removal for this crab would be sweet. We don't have it. So Liliana Edict, or, you know, Liliana +1 might not be the absolute worst here because they could have Grizzly Salvage plus another card they actually want to cast in their hand. But I guess the odds of that are low enough that we're not going to do it. We're just going to race. Oh my goodness. Quite the high density of hits there from the opponent. Alright, we are on track to cast Batterskull. So if the opponent gets back Bloodghast, they still shouldn't have haste. So I think the play is just to put levels on Hexdrinker and attack with both. They are kind of priced into chumping with the Hedron Crab here, I think. Let's just put 2 on for now. No block. Alright, we're just going to put levels on. If they can't kill us here, or kill Hexdrinker, they will die to it next turn. Unless they have, like, a Creeping Chill in the deck that they manage to hit. Stick to your supplier, mills nothing of consequence. And they'll scoop. Alright, we did manage to race the deck, and that's the power of Tarmogoyf. Hexdrinker doing quite a nice assist roll there as well. So, some kind of all-in graveyard deck. Obviously, that's mostly just the Hogak shell without Hogak or looting. Looks like they're in Sultai colors, so we want all the graveyard hate, and not really sure what else, but Plague Engineer seems good. Yeah, from what we saw, Hedron Crab looks like an engine card, and we know it's Sephora, so I guess we're going to bring in Fatal Push. Collective Brutality, maybe. Surgical, yes. I don't know how good something like Gideon is here, but let's see what we have to take out. Lily of the Veil. Pretty poor. How does our equipment line up? Would we rather have Feast and Famine than Fire and Ice? I think we still kind of just want Fire and Ice. The protection is more relevant on Feast and Famine, but still think Fire and Ice is probably the better call here. So for sure these 4 out. For sure these 3 in. Honestly, maybe not Collective Brutality on the draw, but the rest of this looks pretty good. I think we're just going to try to squeeze in Push and 2 Plague Men. We need 2 cuts if we do that. I don't know how crucial discard is in this matchup. Alright, we're going to cut one Thoughtseize, and we're just going to trim either a Lingering Souls or a Dark Confidant, but with only 2 Bob in the deck, we'll just cut a Souls. Like, I'm used to trimming away a Bob on the draw sometimes in some matchups, but again, with only 2 in the deck, do we ever really get down on that? Rarely, I would say. We've got Painless Discard, Path to Exile, Goyf, we'll keep it. No Graveyard Hate, but we don't have that much in the deck, so it's not like a mulligan is all that likely to hit. Okay, opponent with a Crab. Are we priced into pathing the Crab? I think we actually are. Are we supposed to fetch for a Godless Shrine here just so we can have a better next turn? I think we are as well. So, we're going to do this on their upkeep. That might as well be draw step, right? Alright, the old turn 1 path. Path is our turn 1 play. It's technically not a turn 1 path, but it's pretty bad. Alright, opponent's got another Crab anyway. And they do have Creeping Chill in the deck. Okay, we speculated on that last game, and it is indeed there. And they just have all the Crabs. Okay, fair enough. So, are we supposed to cast Discard or Tarmogoyf here? Probably Discard, but we could get punished for it. Let's see. Abrupt Decay, Cryptbreaker, Gravecrawler. Well, we are not punished because there's 2 good takes in there. We'll take the Decay, then we're going to take Cryptbreaker as well. Deciding whether or not to shock in the Tomb here. It's tempting to fetch a Swamp, but then we just have too few green sources for Skoos to be good. And we already have a lot of black, so I'm going to shock. Okay, so opponent is pretty top deck dependent. That's the good news. The bad news is that even lands are good top decks for them. So, hey, drew another Gravecrawler. Sure, we can beat this for now. Plague Engineer would be a good draw. We draw Fatal Push. That's another good one. So, once again, in case we draw Skoos, I think I'm gonna get green aggressively here. So we'll play a Goyf, we'll push a Crab, we'll say go. Okay, opponent found a land. And they mill another Gravecrawler, so Plague Man would be even better now. And they're just attacking into the Goyfs because why not? I can just buy him back. Plague Man, where are you, buddy? Now's the time. Marsh Flats. Not a Plague Engineer. Not even close. So they're going to attack for 6 next turn. We're going to block, go to 3. I guess fetching or not fetching could become relevant, so we'll just play a basic and pass. But yeah, this is a pretty bad time to flood. And of course the opponent, hitting lands is good for the opponent, right? Creeping Chill. Okay, we're dead. Not this turn, but pretty deterministically dead at this point, I think. Again, Plague Engineer still our best draw, I think. Skoos would be pretty good too here. But still might not quite be enough. Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, so Stoneforge gets Fire and Ice. We're still just dead on board. Yeah, we'll scoop to conceal information. Alright, they got us. They got us good. Killed by the Hedron Crabs and Grave Crawlers. That's definitely a progression we can beat. We disrupted well enough, but we just then proceeded to flood out, so feels bad, man. Another collective brutality, we saw Decay in there as well, plus it's another way to kill the crab. I think we like it on the play, I'm just not exactly sure what to cut. The rest of our deck's pretty good too, but maybe it's just better than an Assassin's Trophy for the most part. Maybe that was even true last game on the draw. Alright, I like it. Thoughtseize, push, Mystic, Goyf. Once again, it's a no grave hate hand, but once again, I believe this is a keep. Batterskull might really give their deck some trouble. And of course, having push to answer the crab seems real good, so I think this is a pretty solid keep. But let's see what they're up to. They've mauled to 6. Crab, Crypt Breaker, Gravecrawler. So, Crypt Breaker is good, but I think crab is higher priority. So one option here is to take the crab just in case they top deck another one. Or top deck something else that is a must kill with Fatal Push. But the upside of taking the crab is it lets us just deploy a turn 2 threat. So I think we're going to take crab. And probably not be priced into killing the Crypt Breaker, but who knows, you know, if we draw another discard spell. Verdant Catacombs is the draw, huh? Yeah, I think we're going to go Stoneforge here. Just get our Batterskull, and then next turn we can push the Crypt Breaker. We're letting them have the value off of it, but seems beatable. We don't have to shock here. But once again, I'm going to just in case of skews. So to elaborate there, like if our Batterskull sticks around and gets to repeatedly engage in combat, the shock doesn't matter. If it doesn't, well, Scoos becomes one of our better draws to actually try to win this game. Alright, so opponent is fetching on our upkeep. Do they have some kind of removal? No, they're just getting Revolt, maybe? I don't know. I don't know what I should be reading into that. But I think we're still going to be getting the Batterskull down this turn, rather than playing a Goyf. So we'll say go. I guess we're going to push the Crypt Breaker in response to its activation if indeed they do activate. Vengevine. Yeah, that's annoying. But we're not going to really be able to stop it, so just kill this thing. the crab. The crab has made an appearance. Ooh, crab into fetch land. Yeah, we knew they had the fetch land. Nothing of consequence milled with the first one, but they've got another one here for us. And if nothing else, they'll just cast Gravecrawler from hand to get Venge Vine out. Prized Amalgam. So it's a great turn for the opponent, make no mistake. Hopefully Batterskull and Goyf can stabilize us here. Yeah, so we're going to take the hit here. Looks like we're going to have a safe attack back next turn. They might just, like, last card as a Nature's Claim would really suck, but we will see. Man, we just keep flooding, though. Flooding a lot so far this league. Alright. Batterskull does connect. And Goyf outsizes Venge Vine, so this is all fairly decent. Could be soft to certain top decks from the opponent. We don't want them to draw interaction here, basically, but... Alright, it doesn't look like they did, so that's cool. We draw a Path to Exile. Nice. So, we could spend our whole turn equipping Batterskull to Tarmogoyf. That is soft to them having interaction. Very, very soft. So if we attack and they assign any kind of double block, we can pretty much blow it out with a Path to Exile. So I guess we're going to do that. And if we don't need to Path, we can then re-equip Batterskull to Stoneforge if we want. Yeah. Alright, so we're chewing through their board this way. We gain some more life. We cannot re-equip this turn, but we can bounce it if we want, which is pretty good as well. Opponent draws another fetch land. Doesn't find much off the first one. Doesn't find much off the second one. Okay. Hard casting of Venge Vine, sure. So I'm just deciding whether it... So if we bounce the Batter Skull, we can then redeploy it, but the Germ itself will have Summoning Sickness. I guess that's still pretty good, because we're just going to gain an enormous amount of life with the Goyf, so... Or we could just next turn equip it to Stoneforge. Yeah, we're just actually going to equip. This is worse if we draw, like... If we draw action, basically. Anything besides 1 mana action, but... I don't mind it. Just going to get more green. Ashiok? Sure, but at this point... Alright, opponent's in some trouble. Even if they find a... Yeah, okay, so they decay the Stoneforge, sure. But now they're priced into chumping with Vengevine, which is pretty good for us. Yeah, we're just going to keep equipping here. Okay, GG. Alright, so... Yeah, still new to Abzan, guys. Still new to Abzan. Maybe some of the lines... were more obvious than they seemed to me at the time. I don't like being that far behind on the clock. I always feel a little bit bad for the opponent, but hey, we're playing a newish deck and we're live commentating, so it's all good, and we did get there. Batter Skull, obviously pulling a lot of weight there. Tarmogoyf was also key to both of our wins, so that was pretty cool. GG's, and we're back on the board with a 2-1. For that matter, I'm not entirely sure I navigated Burn perfectly. That turn 1, game 1 decision was an interesting one. I think they kind of had the beating of us no matter what, really, but I'll have to look back at that. You'll have to let me know as well. But anyway, we're on the play for game 3 with a pretty good hand. The only card we don't really like necessarily is the Sword, but even that could be fine. But an Inquisition into Goyf hand is a definite keep in a blind game 1. And the opponent's on a 1-lander Jeskai control, I guess. So if we take Snap, next turn we fetch, Goyf will be well oversized compared to the Bolts and Helixes. Or we could take Opt and hope they don't draw lands. But this is a very good Snapcaster Mage hand, so I am going to assume they're going to hit their land drops. We'll take Snap. Alright, so next objective is maybe to look for a window to resolve Sword of Fire and Ice under the Spell Pierces, because that could actually become quite good in this matchup. Treetop Village does not let us do it this turn if they give us the window. And there they go, they found their land. I think they were probably always going to, right? Tarmogoyf getting busy. Inquisition may just trade here with a Spell Pierce. I think that's alright. Really unfortunate that we have the Treetop, otherwise they couldn't do this, but... C'est la vie. Opponent bolting face. So opponent just resigning to not be able to double burn the Tarmogoyf ever. Although they could have this turn, so yeah, not sure. Lingering Souls, good draw. Alright, we're just going to jam it. They could pierce it, but that's value positive for us. And if not, it's a big issue. Is opponent going to Helix us too? They are. Okay, they're racing. And hey, you know, the life totals are even. So, what's the math here? We fire up Treetop. I mean, we're just very soft to Snap Bolt that way. I think it's going to be better to just attack and play Lingering Souls. Snap Bolt is one of their best lines, and it's one of the lines that would make sense for them playing that 4th land tapped in terms of having good cards. Like, you know, obviously they don't have Cryptic Command right now. Alright, concession. Sweet. So, opponent kept a 1-lander. Kind of got rewarded for it because they made every single land drop until maybe this 5th one on turn 5. We don't know because they conceded before they really played. But we still kind of crushed them. Like I said at the beginning, my friends, Inquisition into Goyf. That is kind of the dream in a blind game 1, and definitely just kind of saw why there. Sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same, you know? Like, in 2019, Tarmogoyf is still just a big, big problem for so many decks. You've got to love it. Alright, so cards we're considering. Fulminators, Gaddock Teague, Sword of Feast and Famine, Nile Spellbomb, Collective Brutality, Gideon Ally of Zendikar. I don't think we want Ashiok. Yes, they fetch. Yes, they use the graveyard, but the matchup is a little too value-oriented for the static permanent to be that appealing to me, but we'll at least consider it as well, right? Nothing else, and we're going to cut, I guess, all of our spot removal fairly easily. And on the draw, I kind of like cutting a land for sure. Just make it a Blooming Marsh. So right now we have 6 slots. We could also cut a Scooze, and I'd be quite happy with this. That means we still need 1 card to come out. Do we really want 3 equipment? Maybe. Yeah, I think I'm just going to play with only 2 Fulminator on the draw. We'll keep our 3 equipment in. Each of those has a pretty nice role to play against a Jeskai control deck. Feast and Famine, Fire and Ice, Batter Skull, as far as I can tell. This hand lacks interaction, but I don't like to mull here. I think it's a keep. It does have a Tarmogoyf. And we know how good that can be, right? And we drew Liliana. Sweet. Alright, so if we run out the Goyf, it does simply die to a Helix or a Bolt. I don't think we want to do that. I also think we're going to slow roll the Hex Drinker a tad, so we're going to play a Spell Bomb instead. Opponent flashing in a Snapcaster. You got it. I kind of want to just cantrip now with this thing. Geist of Saint Traft. Yikes. Yeah, I think we do, because now we need spot removal for a snap, or just to find a second Liliana. Alright, yeah, we'll cantrip. Stoneforge Mystic and Overgrown Tomb. Not quite. So I guess one thing we could do is play both Stoneforge and Hex Drinker. That's fairly subpar, but it means they kind of need two forms of removal to attack safely with a Geist. And I think it's better than playing an undersized Goyf that they probably do have removal for. Well, that's the other option, though, isn't it? Like, just play Goyf in Hex Drinker. They kind of need Path to cleanly answer Goyf, or like a Planeswalker Bounce or something. But Stoneforge is actually, like... Stoneforge is an issue for them. I'm gonna go for the Stoneforge Mystic. It's also good to resolve our 2-for-1. And we are just going to get Batterskull. We want something that can fight the Geist on its own. And we now are very ahead on resources. We need to just be able to answer their board. So even though Hex Drinker is a potential game winner late game, we just play it out now for the same reason I outlined earlier. And we'll see how far this gets us. But a little bit of a surprisingly tough curve to handle. The Ambush Viper on turn 2 and the Geist on turn 3 on the play. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Ooh, okay. Well, we're going to block the Geist. And guess we're just going to leave Stoneforge there, force them to spend a spell on her, or get the value out of her. Alright, hey, Hex Drinker trades with Geist. That is pretty awesome. Savannah Lions, OP. And they're going to Helix the board, sure. Okay. So, we can resolve Liliana right now. Do we want to? I believe so. Only awkward thing about it is we don't have anything great to pitch, but getting a card out of their hand seems pretty good. We could just Edict as well, but alright, she resolves. You know what? I do think I am going to Edict here. Our hand is probably just better than theirs. And even if it's not, well, we have the Treetop Village to pressure a Planeswalker. We have lots of good plays next turn, no matter how you slice it, no matter what they have. We also have Trophy Dance or a Walker. And if they have to point another thing at the board, that could be fine too. We have found a Gideon as well. Okay, so I'm thinking Trophy might be the pitch here. But either way, we're pretty rewarded for ticking down with the Liliana last turn. It's either a trophy or a piece of equipment. There's no way they don't have counter magic. So what are we going to do this turn? We're going to play... yeah, let's pitch the trophy. Opponent pitches a Batterskull, so they're on the Stoneblade package too. We know Spell Pierce is in the deck, so I guess the play here is to lead on Sword of Feast and Famine. Follow up with Goyf. Our life total is low enough that I probably should get a basic here. But we can't cast Gideon if I do. Huh. Awkward. Alright. I guess we're getting Temple Garden. We could well get burned out here, but hopefully that decision to shock doesn't change that. I don't imagine that it will. We're probably, like, we'd be at 6 if we didn't shock here. Still just dead to 2 burn spells either way. Bolts, yes. Okay, yep, we were dead even if we... yeah, no matter what we did there, we were dead. Alright, we just got burned out. That feels bad. That feels real bad. We were quite far ahead on the resource war, but that's an angle that the Jeskai decks can certainly attack on. So... we got there, and do we want to bring back any number of Fatal Push now that we've seen the potential presence of Stoneforge Mystic? Yeah, I think based on what we saw, we don't want Gaddock Teague. We'll put in a push for Teague. That is a start. I haven't seen, like, any high curve stuff. Is it crazy to want to cut a Thoughtseize to just hedge more and more against that burn plan? I think we're going to try it. The rest of our deck still looks really good, so we don't want to hedge too far back in the direction of our Game 1 configuration, but, you know, I kind of like this setup. I even almost kind of want to bring back a second Scooz, but... but let's just run it like this. Alright, so we appear to be against Jeskai Stoneblade when we haven't seen the SFMs out of their deck. We're on the play here for Game 3, that is nice. 4-lander, or 6-lander with a 4-drop, not so nice. Yeah, I got them all that. Okay, thankfully the opponent will mull as well. We'll keep and we'll bottom one of our 3 Lilianas, I suppose. Opponent will remain on 6 as well. Yeah, this is the Jeskai Tempo deck, so they've got, wow, Giver of Runes too, huh? Giver, Helix, Queller, Geist. Lots of cards that are big problems for us, but... like, because we're on the play, probably the thing to do is to take Giver. Only issue with that is if we don't draw our 3rd land, we're going to really regret not taking the Geist. But we have to assume we're going to draw our 3rd land. Like, if we don't draw our 3rd land, we're not going to win anyway. So, come on, 3rd land. Another Inquisition. Alright, that's a fine one. We're going to use it. But it's not the 3rd land. Alright, we're going to take Queller. Because once again, we're assuming we're going to hit the third land. We're assuming we can handle the Geist. We have 2 Lilianas. We can do it. Even Skoos, you know, can trade with the Geist. Granted, they have Helix to answer it, but... Alright, third land. Untapped. No third land, but it's a Stoneforge Mystic, so we'll take it, but... why? Alright, we need green, we need double black. Stoneforge, to be fair, is a okay draw. If it's not the third land. Might as well be the SFM. And we're going to once again get Batterskull because we're choked on mana. You know, if they just Helix her and then tap out for the Geist next turn, we are still in such a good position if we just then manage to draw the third land. We just can't miss it for the third turn in a row. Third untapped land, please. Off the top. We did it. Life is good. Life is good. Edict you. Alright, well, we left it to the very last minute, but the way this all lined up was actually quite good for us. Opponent bolting the Lily is great for us, too. Because it means we just get to probably play another one. Only problem is we have a good hand, but they clearly don't want Lily active, so let's just try the other one, see if she resolves. It's mana efficient, even if she doesn't. Alright. So who are we pitching? Probably Skoos. Or just Batterskull, actually. Yeah, we're pretty far away from ever getting that done. Alright, we get a Teferi out of their hand. Sweet, I like it. Alright, untapped land. Ooh, tapped land. Alright. Think we're priced into pitching that. Untapped land, of course, would have let us dump out our whole hand, then tick up. But we'll pitch the Marsh. They pitch Bolts. Yeah, it's impossible to say what their last card is. Let's just play the Bob. He's got the highest upside. If he lives. And Skoos isn't really doing anything with only one green source anyway. Alright, opponent maybe had a 4-drop Rotting in hand, and now they get to use it. Gideon Ally. Yeah, a little scary, but let's hope Bobby finds us something great here. Lands, not the greatest. Not the very greatest, but at least our Liliana continues to do a lot of work here. I don't think we've seen Path to Exile out of the opponent, so I'm going to respect the life total here, get a Forest. And because we cannot outsize things anyway with only one green source, we're just going to pass with Skoos activation open to make Snapcaster worse, and we are going to pressure Gideon. Hope the opponent bricks here. Really wish we had a Path of our own in hand, but they're not even in the deck, so fair enough. Alright, we're going to let Liliana go here. And assume we're going to be able to answer the Gideon next turn. Ooh, they drew a removal. Come on, come on, come on. Alright, well, I guess we're just going to gain a life. That's annoying. It's alright, we're going to see 2 cards here. Let's hope one of them can help us answer Gideon. We hit 2 lands, are you kidding? Oh my goodness. Our position has been so good for so long. But not if we keep just flooding like this, huh? Alright. Alright, opponent, you can brick any day now. You've got to be kidding me, they have an answer to Bob too. Please. Alright, Lingering Souls, great draw. Absolutely great draw. That's what we're talking about. Oops. I don't see any reason to block here. We're going to take the hit from the knight. Oh, we'll make another one. Yep. Alright, let's thin out the deck a bit. We're sick of drawing lands, that's for sure. Another Lingering Souls? Very nice. Okay, so I don't think we're going to play around Electrolyze. I think we're going to play around spot removal, but not around Electrolyze, so we're going to attack Gideon with 2, and our opponent with 2. Alright, more souls, more army in a can. Spell Queller. Oh no! That's literally perfect against Lingering Souls. Any other form of permission would have been so fine. Spell Queller, how good can their draws get? And now we're very punished for attacking, because now we're going to get hit for 6 this turn. Literally, how good can their draws get compared to ours? Oh no. Pretty horrendous. They find Giver. Okay, we find our own Gideon. Well, that'll help stabilize a little bit, but Giver is gonna close out this game. Just via protection. How good is the emblem here? Man, if they didn't have that Queller, we would be so good. We could probably just swing for lethal this turn if they didn't have a Queller. Alright. How good is the emblem? So we make the emblem, we hit them for 6. They go to 9, they're still not dead next turn. Alright, so I guess we're making a knight. And I guess we're going to attack with 1 spirit. To change that math a little bit. They're all going at Gideon. Alright. Giver is going to blow out our blocks some way, shape, or form. So is blocking in general just kind of a fool's errand here? Ugh. Alright, so if we block like this, and then we triple block the Queller, they are forced to give the Queller protection. And then Gideon still lives. But we can get the same result by doing this. Alright, sure. It's not good either way. I don't know what we can draw at this point. What else have they drew a sword? And we draw land. GG. We're dead. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that we flooded so hard and then just got radically out top decked. Like, we were drawing 2 per turn, flooding out. The opponent was drawing spot removal, Gideon. The opponent curved out to their 4th land, then never drew another land. That's exactly perfect. You couldn't draw it up any better. So, pretty annoying, pretty rough, but it was a good game. It was well played by the opponent. It's kind of a Stoneblade slugfest that came down to the top decks, and we got out top decked pretty badly. And we're pretty far down in the matchmaking queue, apparently, or we're pretty far up in it, but still not finding anyone. What's going on? There we go. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so that was the Jeskai tempo deck packing the Stoneblade package, and interesting matchup. I don't think it's a bad one. I think you can easily see how... Yeah, this is a keep. How that could, and probably on average should, have gone our way after a certain point in the game, but... Okay, another burn matchup. Another burn matchup. Well, we do have Shambling Vent in hand this time. That's pretty good. And it's Inquisition time. Okay, so there's a Rift Bolt on Suspend. The opponent has Helix Blaze Bolt. So... options here to take the Blaze and then play Skoos next turn. Or to just take away the burn and go Vent into Inquisition next turn. I think that's better, so we'll take away Helix. But the opponents always just seem to have stacked hands with all the Canopy lands against us lately. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Alright, Tarmogoyf. Good draw. And that does survive a Blaze. But I still think now's our best window for Inquisition. Okay, we get the Blaze out of the hand. The opponent just has all Canopy lands, so... yeah, we'll go Shambling Vent. It's kind of tempting, actually, to go Windswept Heath, just so we have more green for Skoos, but... Okay, opponent with a Swifty, sure. We draw Mystic. But I think it's Liliana time. No second white source is a little rough, but... opponent's got 2 in hand, 2 canopy lands on field. Skewer the critics. All right. We draw Blooming Marsh. So what is our best line here? Do we have to go on the Batterskull plan to win this game? If we do, how relevant is Skoos? You know, I think we're going to just pitch Path to Exile. All of our other cards are pretty great. We can play through Stoneforge against an Eidolon. We're definitely ticking up, so yeah, let's get rid of Path. We get another Sunbait Canyon out of their hand. Here's what I don't understand. So, obviously these lands are really good for burn, but if burn is so common, aren't all these a huge liability in the mirror, right? Like, I don't know how they can afford to play so many, but I guess with Modern as diverse as it is, even the top deck of the format, as burn seems to be right now, is only a little bit, right? It's only a little bit of the format. So opponent just suspended a Rift Bolt for turn. Fair enough. We draw another Liliana. That's a free enough pitch. That we are going to +1 even though it's asymmetrical against us. Alright, so we are dead to burn, 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 including the suspended Rift Bolt, even if we play Skoos to gain a life. So I guess Tarmogoyf is the better play here. Tarmogoyf and pass holding up Skull. And then next turn we'll connect for 1,000,000 with Goyf. Gain all the life. Alright, so we have to hope the opponent... Yeah, okay. They didn't draw 2 burn spells. I think we win. Yeah, we cannot equip, actually, without fetching, and that leaves us dead to Boros Charm. So, let's just run out Ooze. Run out Catacombs, tick up. Boros Charm. Okay, that's game. Good thing we didn't fetch, huh? Go for the super greedy line of equipping Tarmogoyf. We would have been dead. Alright, Batterskull just barely getting us there. Too much life gain. So, we did not end up winning last game, so I don't know, our last match against Burn. I don't know if we're going to side exactly the same way, but let's just look at it from a clean slate, basically. So those 5 obviously have got to go. These 2 have obviously got to come in. And then we like Plague Man and Gideon well enough, maybe, to replace these. Or Fulminator Mage. But last time we chose to play without Fulminator. I wonder if that was a mistake. I don't think it was, compared to Gideon and Plague Engineer. Especially on the draw. I think we're just going to run with it. The more experienced Abzan heads out there can, of course, let me know what you do. Opponent will keep 7. I guess this is a keep. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. We like the push. We like the goif. We don't mind the souls. We don't mind the hard-casted Batterskull potential. Vantage into Goblin Guide. Plague Engineer, sure. There's a land from the guide. So if we push... We're taking 1 more damage this turn if we push Swifty, but that might be better. Just on a pure value axis. Continue hitting lands off of Goblin Guide if they have to attack, and of course not able to get got by combat tricks. Alright, another goif. We're just going to get more green for now. If the opponent has Path, then we're starting to get pretty punished, but if not, then yeah, I think that was fine. Cool, so last turn they proved unable to attack into a goif, so this turn we could just attack with our goif and then play another one. Alternatively, we could play Lingering Souls because it's more mana efficient. But I think Tarmogoyf is still better even if it's less mana efficient. And even though playing Blooming Marsh is better for bluffing, and also because we won't have the option to make it come in untapped later even if we want to, I'm still going to play Temple Garden because there's a really good chance we want to play Souls next turn, and we don't want to shock for that, so we shall see. Alright, opponent finally hit their second land. Now they attack. Goblin Guide's got Fatal Push off the top. Alright, pretty easy kill on Guide here. We know we can kill the Swifty next turn. Maybe they have a Searing Blaze here. That'd probably be their best card. Searing Blood. Okay, that counts. Alright. So is Souls or Plague Man better here? Kind of 6-1, half dozen of the other as far as I can tell. But if we want to hold up Fatal Push, we've got Affection. Then we can also not hard cast Batterskull next turn. Necessarily, unless we draw an untapped land. Souls will grow the goif. But fetching puts us to 9, which is a lot more dangerous than 10. Interesting call here. Very interesting call. I think we're going for the Souls. Opponent's now on a 2-turn clock, which is relevant. All right. So even a little bit of life gain is pretty likely to get us there, I think, at this stage. Eidolon might change that math, but Eidolon could make life awkward for the opponent, too. We draw Sword of Fire and Ice, huh? All right. We kind of, like, it's just another clunky draw. It's another almost good draw. Blooming Marshes stopping us from having our fun here. But even if we had sequenced differently, like if we had a Temple Garden, we would have already had to shock the Temple Garden by now at some point, and or we'd have to be shocking in right now. So I don't regret the sequencing, but man, the clunk persists with this deck despite our best efforts. So just attack, see if they've got a path or anything like that. I guess spreading out the bodies is just a little bit better. It's less mana efficient than playing a Plague Man, but we don't really need to be mana efficient because Batterskull is just the clear play next turn no matter what we draw, unless we draw like Ooze or Brutality, then maybe that changes that. Boros Charm, yep. So we're dead to double burn, but the opponent's dead on board. Lava Spike, okay. Lightning Bolt, Lava Spike, sure. All right, close one. Close game. If we just drew some lower curve stuff, we could easily have gotten there. But sadly, we did not. However, the sideboard plan looked pretty decent there. Still not that interested in Fulminator Mage over these more proactive cards, I don't think. I'm just not sure how good Gideon is, but like, you know, turn 4 make a 2/2, turn 5 attack for 7 seems like a good way to end the game. Plus the Anthem effect can put us over the line if we did play a turn 3 Lingering Souls, so I think we keep it as is. We're going to have a better chance here on the play. Let's do it. We got Push, we got Stoneforge. Batterskull's already in hand. It's a pretty awkward hand, actually. But I guess we're keeping. The thing that's really awkward about it is that, like, we're incentivized to play the Shambling Ven on turn 1, but we're also incentivized, of course, to hold up Fatal Push. We'll see what they do. If they keep 7, I don't know what I'm going to do. If they keep 6, I'm just going to play Vent. They keep 7, huh? Alright. Playing the Vent. Hoping they don't have a turn 1 way to punish us for this. They sure do. Goblin Guide flipping Skoos. Alright, so now we are priced into delaying the Mystic. Skoos was a pretty good draw, though. So far, our lands have been painless. That's the good thing. Goblin Guide, show us a land. Nope. Collective Brutality, though. That's cool. That's a good one. That's a magic card. Alright, opponent will suspend Rift Bolt twice. Or, yeah, twice. Okay. So we're going to Brutality. I guess just escalating once, pitching souls. Like, it's not perfect, but I think it's pretty good. And we definitely don't want to get it blown out by a Skullcrack or something later on. So, yeah. Reveal hand, lose the life. You got it. Okay, they have Searing Blaze, Skewer the Critic's Lightning Bolt. I think we're going to take the Blaze, because we do have a creature-oriented progression from here on out. A clunky creature-oriented progression, but one nonetheless. And we are at 20, but we're getting hit by double Rift Bolt into Skewer this turn. Plus, who knows what else, so... Here it comes. Here comes the Flood. Cracking the Canyon first thing. Into Vantage, into Skewer, right? Right. Okay, we're going to get Overgrown Tomb. And we're down to 10. We've drawn Fatal Push, pretty good. I think we've got to go for the SFM. Scooz is not the best here without the ability to make it a 4/4 yet anyway. So let's go for the higher upside of SFM. Of course, I already have the Batter Skull in hand, but the real upside is getting to flash it in next turn. And we hope the opponent has a creature. And nothing else. We know they have the Lightning Bolt, but if they have to point that at the board, that might be okay. We draw a Trophy. Awkward. Just never getting off of our third land or flooding, it seems, with these games. Alright, well, at this point we might be dead, but we stick with our plan. I don't think it was wrong to, you know, not play the Scooz. The Scooz would die to any of these things. Alright, we're not dead. Not yet. We draw another bad card at this particular juncture, but we do have the Batter Skull. Let's attack. Let's see if we can connect, huh? That would be great. We do? Wow. Okay, I was not expecting that whatsoever. Now our position's awesome. Now I think we're going to win. But so we're going to play the Scooz. Scooz might just trade with Bolt, but that's still going to gain us 4 life, basically, because we'll, of course, eat in response. Okay, that's the game. Wow. All right, so that was... It feels like a lot of the burn progressions so far in this league, like, they never haven't had it in the right windows, but in this game, they didn't have it. They had a window to kill us, basically one turn to kill us, or to find, like, a smash to smithereens, and they didn't, and then we got there. So needless to say, it often comes down to that one turn, you know, that one crucial turn. Do you have it? Do you not? They seem to have flooded out just a bit, and Batter Skull winning us another game. Pretty cool. Stoneblade package looking pretty decent here, despite us not really having great curve outs, I don't think, in any of the games. And here we are. We're 2 and 3. We're playing for the 3-2, and we promptly draw a no land 7. Mulligan, throw it back, and yeah, we'll keep this one. This is a good keep. I just don't know what to bottom. So the thing to do in respect to redundancy is to bottom one of the 2-drop creatures. But if we're against any kind of a fair deck that's kind of bad, and Path is a bad early game card, so I'm going to take the high-risk, high-reward line of bottoming Path. This could backfire, of course, if we really need removal, even Path to Exile early, and we don't have it. I fully accept that, but I don't mind that decision. Okay, it's a Steam Vents deck, so sleight of hand. Even if this is Storm and they have removal, Path isn't good anyway. So I'm pretty happy with that call, I guess. Might actually have been better to play a fetch land there, in case they were going. If this is Storm, they're going to run out of Mana Bear here. We could bluff Fatal Push. It might price them into doing something else, but they didn't have it anyway, so fair enough. Okay, looking like it might be Storm. They went Opt to the top. And Serum top. Well, that's a little frightening. Okay, so Tarmogoyf outsizes Lightning Bolt. I guess we're going to play Goyf. Do we want to get white yet? Yeah, might as well. I don't think it betrays all that much info. Like, sure, they know we're on Abzan. Okay, big deal, right? Goblin Electromancer. Alright, we're glad they didn't play it last turn because we probably would have been dead if they had, but they could still very easily go off and kill us here. Ritual into Ritual. There must be a Monomorphos involved here somewhere. Wow, all the rituals. Oh, just a main deck Empty the Warrens for mass value. Okay, that's a little scary. Liliana the Veil suddenly looking a lot worse against 10 Goblin tokens. Okay. Assassin's Trophy. Not a very good one. I think we have to play Lingering Souls here and try to fight through the Goblins. It sucks to not be able to get that last card out of their hand because they can just top deck more gas. But we've got to deal with this board, don't we? So their attacks are actually not that amazing here, you know, unless, of course, they can go off again this turn. Then they might be able to force through the last damage with another Empty the Warrens or another Grape Shot, or they just have freaking Gifts Ungiven. Wow, this is a nut draw from the opponent. This is a nut draw in light of the fact that they had Goblin Electromancer on turn 3 instead of turn 2. If they had it on turn 2, it would have been even better, but for a turn 3 Mana Bear progression, this is insanely good. Alright, we have to put 2 into the yard. Do we just... I don't know what we do here. Like... think we have to put the rituals in the yard so they can't do anything else this turn, hopefully. A lot depends on what that unknown card is, of course, but... Alright, Goyf will lead a Goblin, Spirits will trade off, and then they leave 2 back. Interesting. I don't know what that means, but I know we still have to trade off here. Alright, Forest, not a good draw. Okay, I think we have to trophy the Electromancer here. And I guess we should do it now in case they have a remand. Obviously, it's pretty bad to give them a land here, but it is going to make their next turn worse despite ramping them. They do have a remand. Again, I say kind of a nut draw. But yeah, this really sucks because now we can't flashback souls. Yeah, we just got to trophy it again. Imagine if that was a decay. No ramp, no remand. They would have remanded the souls back half, admittedly, which isn't great, but... Man. Okay, so now the opponent will send them all in. If they had attacked with the last turn, we'd be at 4. Unfortunately, we just cannot draw anything good. Alright, so let's play our souls. And let's try to play Liliana. See if she resolves, which I believe she will, and then we'll decide what to do. So, if we do not edict the board, they've got 6. Assume they're all going to attack at us. They push 3 damage through, we go to 2. We're dead to any spell plus Grape Shot. If we do edict the board, then they only push 2 through. They have to have 2 spells into Grape Shot. And they probably have another land in hand, so we're just going to edict. This is not a winning formula, but it's what we've got access to. They have another gifts. They sure do. They've got everything this game, they've just got everything. So next turn they're going to have... Is Past in Flames is still in their hand? So if they go untapped land, Past in Flames, they can go Ritual, 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 Monomorphose into whatever. So if they show us an untapped land in the pile, okay, they don't, which must mean they kind of have everything. So I guess we're going to take away their rituals yet again and make them have an untapped land. If they have an untapped land, among many other things, we're dead. We're almost certainly dead no matter what. They go Monomorphose to begin. Interesting. Opt, okay. Maybe we're not dead this turn? Still probably are. This is maybe something I didn't think of. Or they found an Electromancer. That definitely hurts. But they had to spend a lot of mana before doing so, so we'll see. Another one with the form of Baral. And they just have the Grape Shot. That's enough for the Grape Shot kill. Fair enough. Alright. Well, that was a pretty good game. They had an annoyingly great progression against us, but it was a good game. If they had had a little bit less optimal turns in the mid-game, we could have gotten there, I think. But, yeah, so... Against Storm. Gaddock Teague does shut off some stuff. I guess we're going to bring in the Teague. Bring in the Teague Master. Don't know how to rate Feast and Famine, so we'll leave it over there. Ashiok seems okay. Just kind of supplementary graveyard hate. Yeah, Ashiok actually shuts off the Search for Gifts, too. We probably want Ashiok. Let's see. Plague Engineer naming Goblin is pretty good against Empty. We want these 3 things as well. So we're considering 9 cards. It's kind of a lot. But do we have enough to bring out? Certainly trophies are pretty bad. Unless they go to Arya of Flame. But... And we don't have that much left for Arya, just kind of Maelstrom Pulse. And our other disruption making it worse. But Trophy and Path are pretty bad. And then from there, we're probably just cutting slower cards. So Lingering Soul's pretty slow. Even if we cut those 3, we need to make 1 more cut. So I guess we're gonna. And is there any of these sideboard cards that's a little bit weak? Yeah, let's just not play with Feast and Famine. I think that's fine. 2 equipment sufficient. And I guess Batter Skull is a little better than Feast and Famine. Simply because Feast and Famine doesn't give any relevant protection, and Batter Skull can stabilize against an early empty like we saw last game. So that was interesting. The opponent was kind of pre-sideboarded, basically, compared to how I'm used to seeing Storm decks, but maybe that's just how they have to be built in a more fair meta. Spellbomb into Plague Man. Probably not good enough. We'll mull. Opponent keeps 7. Alright, this hand is pretty good. What do we bottom? Tough call. Very tough call. I don't know what to bottom here at all. I think we're going to bottom Stoneforge Mystic because Goyf is our best clock and Teague is our only way to disrupt their hand, kind of. Right? Like, we're only disrupting the board right now. Which is good, you know, it's good to have at least 1 Fatal Push, but yeah, I could have also bottomed a Fatal Push, but it's just so bad if they have a second Mana Bear and we lose to it. Another Plague Man, huh? Pretty bad draw at the moment, but of course it could bail us out if we hit a 3rd land and they're on the empty plane. Alright, we hope the opponent goes land Mana Bear and then their hand falls apart when we kill it with a Fatal Push. We draw a 3rd Fatal Push. Holy moly, we're maximum punished for keeping the 2nd one. Alright. No 3rd land is absurdly bad here. We can't even hold up push because the 2nd land we have is a forest. Like, definitely getting kind of the short end of the stick here, my friends, I think, with our overall progressions. But, hey, you know, at least we had the push there. If we didn't have the push, we would be in deep trouble right now. We've got the Goyf, we've got the push, we've got the play. These are 3 things going for us, but we keep drawing 3 drops. Alright, so options here to pass holding up push or to play Teague. And I think we, at this point, have to play Teague because even if they don't have another Mana Bear, then they can just hard cast a Gifts. They do have the other Mana Bear. It would be really unlucky if they were able to go off this turn, kill Teague, and then cast their stuff, but maybe they will. I mean, that would just... We just kind of have to make them have everything at this point. They had to have a Mana Bear and removal for the Teague. Okay, so far they have everything. Now do they have a 4-drop? They sure do. Unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. Well, looks like we're crashing out with a only partial cashing of the league. We do get the consolation prize now these days for the 2 and 3. And hey, you know what? It's been a really long time since I've gone less than 3 and 2. It definitely happens, but it feels bad, man. It feels bad. I definitely think we're on the wrong side of variance this league, but it's possible I had some lines that I didn't take that could have panned out better. This is one of them. If we held up Fatal Push, we would be better off against them this turn. However, I think Teague is the correct play on average. I really do. Again, we kind of made them have the Mana Bear, and have removal, and have something that Teague would have shut off, and have cards like Monomorphose and Ritual to make this all possible, right? So what do we do now? Do we just take away the gas and leave them with the Rituals in hand? That's kind of what I'm inclined to do at this stage of the game. It might be wrong, but whatever. Let's do it that way. They can Ritual right now. They have Empty the Warrens. Alright. Untapped land for the Plague Man. Oh, we did it! Well, how the tables have turned. Maybe our demise was overstated. Think we should name Goblin. What about you? Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. Alright, well, the opponent just has 2 Rituals in hand, plus whatever they top decked, which was a land. So, unless I mistrack their hand, they're dead here. We're going to Edict the Electroman and attack for lethal. Or we could just push it. Alright, we got there. Well, the Plague Man cometh. The Plague Man cometh. Gotta love him. Got to love him. What a feel-good moment, my friends. And now we are back in the mix. We're back in the fight for the 3 and 2. Don't particularly want to change anything on the draw here, I don't believe. Looking fine to me. Let's do it. We have a lot of cards to bring in against Storm. Still doesn't feel like we're particularly well configured just because the White Splash doesn't help us out very much in this matchup. I think that's really the crux of it. But this is not a deck that's all that common in the meta at the moment. Opponent will mulligan. Our hand is mediocre, but if the opponent mulls, I think we just keep a functional one. It's possible that we should have mulled more aggressively toward a kill spell or some hand disruption, but we do have the surgical. And we can always top deck that stuff. We don't. We hit Shambling Vent. I guess that's the play over Treetop. And Confidant, of course, is a nice card in the matchup. As is Tarmogoyf. What's the play? What's the play? Well, Goyf, if we fetch, will survive Lightning Bolts. Confidant will not. They can also just straight up Grape Shot Confidant. However, I still kind of want to play the Bob just because we haven't hit Disruption off our 2 draws yet. We kind of really need to hit some. The upside is higher with Bob. As is the downside, to be fair. I don't know. I don't know what the play is here. This is a pretty important decision. And you could really make an argument for either one. We're going with Robert Confidant. And they got the bolt. Okay, we're punished, but whether that will be material to the outcome of this game, I don't know. Alright, we need to draw a hand disruption now. We just draw more lands. Jeez. Well, playing a land grows a Goyf, but we don't strictly need to. Unless we're going to surgical, like, yeah, no, I don't imagine that mattering. Man, no disruption off the top in 3 draws has been rough. It's just been... Has it just been 3 lands? Opponent will remand us? Oh my god. Okay. We are at their mercy. This is looking like one I should have mulled, but to be fair, our draws could have made this hand amazing. Alright, opponent's pretty clearly got a Gifts Ungiven. Or not. I mean, they almost cast something main phase, so who knows? Gaddock Teague. Ooh, just a little too late, but we're still going to cast him. We're going to cast him first to draw something out, if they have it. Okay. Alright, well, we're all in. Guess we get Godless Shrine here. Or is Stoneforge Mystic at all better here? Nah, let's just play the Goyf. Another kill spell. Alright. Well, they're controlling our board very well. But they don't seem to have gifts. They have Baral, sure. Monomorphose, yes. Into Ritual. Okay, into Gifts, I assume. Or maybe, yeah. Okay. We do have Surgical, we got to keep that in mind. So, yeah, okay, let's not worry about it quite yet. I think we're just going to give them the rituals in hand. We'll bin Past in Flames, Monomorphose, and we're extracting Past in Flames in response to their first ritual if they go for it here. Okay, there's only one more in the deck, but let's see what else they're working with. We have one Empty the Warrens. Only one? Wow. Okay. 2 more Gifts, 2 more Electroman, the full 4 Baral, 1 more Braid, 2 Grape Shot, 1 more Bolts, a single Negate, and 2 more Remands, 3 pieces of the puzzle. Alright. Okay, so the opponent kind of has nothing right now. We draw a Push. It's a little bit behind schedule, but we'll still take it. Alright, what is our better... I guess Fire and Ice is the one to get here. And Silent Clearing actually seems better to just play the Tomb. We're just like casting our stuff and trying to race rather than Stone Raining ourselves to dig for more action. Alright, opponent's got Ritual plus 1 unknown. They find Monomorphos right off the top. That's extremely good, but they could still easily brick. And they did. And they scoop. Well, well, well. Call me a little bit of a pessimist, I guess, because I was just saying, oh, all is lost. We've finally not cashed a league. It's 2-3. Nope, we get there again. We get there again. Literally, seems impossible to not 3-2 these days. And I don't know if that is a consequence of them having combined the leagues. That's not me casting shade at any of our opponents, by the way. I think they all played very well today. And if anything, we were the one, that was a little bit more behind on the clock and all that stuff. So definitely not saying that about any of the people we just played. But either BGX is the most consistent archetype in Modern, or maybe the leagues are a little bit easier now, or maybe a little bit of both. But either way, guys, I don't know what to say. Our decks curve outs are very, very suboptimal, and we still stumble and scrape our way to a 3-2, it seems. Pretty much every time 3-2 or better. So that was a nice little turnaround. The round 1 against Burn felt bad. It felt like one that got away, but maybe it was just kind of an oppressive curve out from the opponent. I don't know if I played that one optimally. I need to look back at that. But anyway, we did get there in the end with another cash league, another 3-2. And how did our changes feel? Well, I mean, Hexdrinker kind of had a feel-good moment, right? Trading off with Geist of Saint Traft. Otherwise, we didn't really... Oh, it also... Hexdrinker also closed out the game against the Graveyard deck, against the Sultai Stitcher Supplier Grizzly Salvage deck. So that was very cool. We could have gotten into a board stall if we didn't have the level 8 coming up the following turn. So that was definitely nice. Lingering Souls was very good. We got the game, I think, kind of stolen from us by the Jeskai Tempo Stoneblade deck, but Lingering Souls would easily have been the mirror breaker if they hadn't had all the right stuff at all the right times there, right? And then we had just a lower curve in general. I guess, the one fewer land seemed fine. We ran into Burn twice, so we were not missing specifically Nurturing Peatland, that I can tell you, but... Otherwise, yeah, we did get stuck on lands a little bit more, and we did flood out a little bit too. That's just variance, though. Tracker could, in theory, have turned that flood into gold, or we could have just kept flooding and not seen the tracker, right? You just can't really say. So, anyway, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think we saw kind of a below average amount of hand disruption considering we had 7 in the main deck. Now, maybe there were 1 or 2 windows, 1 or 2 openers in which I could have mulled toward disruption, like that game we just finished on, the game 3 against Storm, right? That could definitely have been the case, but otherwise, I really don't know. I really think the theory behind adjusting the curve down a little bit to better facilitate good turn 3s, with or without Stoneforge Mystic, is solid. And yeah, I mean, we could make more tweaks, of course. Gaddock Teague saw a lot of play. He didn't really survive, but we're really forcing the opponent to have the right stuff here. And if they hadn't, Teague could have been very cool. But Teague was not really the all-star of this league. I think the all-star of this league was, frankly, probably Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf was very, very good. But that's kind of a given in any BGX deck, right? So maybe we give it to Batterskull. Batterskull actually was awesome here. Stoneforge for Batterskull was pretty great in a few different windows. So maybe we give Batterskull the thumbnail treatment. We'll have to see. But anyway, my friends, that was the league. I hope you liked it. I will continue to tweak this list. I will continue to get better with it, I still feel a little bit like a fish out of water here relative to Rock, but I think that's just a matter of experience. You on this channel, especially right now at this time of year, you're seeing all the leagues I play. I'm not playing a bunch off camera and then coming to you once I've got my skills refined. I don't have the time to do that, so we're just kind of showing you everything as I do it. So thanks for sticking with me through it. I hope this was entertaining. Hope this was enjoyable. As always, if you have any feedback on the build, on the sideboarding decisions on any lines in the game, for sure, feel free to let me know. And yeah, that'll do it. So thank you once again to Robbie Taylor, to Rocco Perisic, to Ronald Poon, and to Cole Stallings. Patreon supporters, old and new, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for making this content possible. And thanks to everybody out there who has subscribed to the channel. If you haven't done either yet, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button, to give me a thumbs up. All that stuff helps me grow. It helps my content in the algorithm. And of course, if you do want to give directly back to this content, Patreon is the way to do so. Thank you so much, my friends. We're going to keep playing this deck. Like I said, we're going to keep playing Rock, maybe a couple donation leagues coming up as well. So stay tuned, and we'll keep breaking down the Throne of Eldraine spoilers as they come out as well. Hope everybody out there has a wonderful day. I will talk to you soon.